Welcome everybody to Paul's Call, man. Excited about this one. Daniel, welcome. Really appreciate you, man.
Thank you.
Looked like you had a ton of fun out there at the Indianapolis over the weekend, hanging out with another one of our vendors, Gerber. Man, tell us a little bit about that, man. How was that?
Oh my gosh, it was phenomenal. I mean, we had a bunch of agents fly in, stay with us, and they had a wonderful time. And it was just a lot of fun. People were still selling while they were here. We went out to dinner Friday night to a nice steakhouse. Gerber paid for the whole thing, and
Yeah,
then Saturday we had a barbecue at the house. I had another potential carrier that came over with one of our Medicare partners that we're going to be doing Medicare with. It's the funny thing is he has the same name, Danny Gordon. I'm Danny Gordon. He's
yep,
Danny. Middle initial D. And we found out his wife's name is Lisa. My wife's name is Elisa. So it's just kind of funny. And then he pulls out his phone and he's like, "Yeah, that's my dog. You probably never heard of this type of dog." I said, "That's a Basenji. I have a Basenji too." But we found out we had the same dog. So it was just like, it's too good to be true. I mean, this is just crazy. A
it's
lot in
all
common.
lining up, right? Everything's lining up.
Everything's
Well,
lining
hey,
up. Yeah.
hey, man, the reason I wanted to, bring you here and talk was because you guys have built a very strong, profitable agency. And what a lot of people in our industry is that they see, they don't really get a lot of game on how to do it, right? Um, so kind of talk about when you first came, to Family First Life. What was it like? Kind of what was some of the struggles that you were going through at the time?
Yeah. So, when I first got started, just I've had actually multiple people reach out over the years. I was at Geico 15 years almost, and my wife 10. And I just got a lot of people reaching out from Family First Life, and they couldn't explain the business correctly, so I never was signed up under them. Then I finally talked to somebody, and they explained the business in a way that made sense. You're just talking to people that want coverage or have an interest in it. I was like,
Right.
wow, that was different than all the other people said. You got to door knock and go in the home, and you got to strong arm in some buying. And I'm like, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
So finally talked to someone. They said, there's these mailers. You go in the home, you sell over the phone. Or you can sell over the phone if you want, but you can go in the home. I was like, let me do some in-home appointments because I was so used to selling over the phone for over a decade. I was like, I'm
Right.
kind of tired of that, a little bit tired of that. So it was kind of nice and refreshing to, get out there. And I door knocked. I went in home, profitable every month, but it was like, yeah, you got to start recruiting, right? You got to start scaling the business. And when I first started in September of 21 is when I just started like building up my LinkedIn account, just trying to like connect every week. I've been doing it. It's been like a little bit over 2.5 years, and just constantly every week, just it only takes 10 minutes to max out your connections every week. So I got the
Yeah.
LinkedIn premium, which is like $79 a month, and started doing it religiously every single week. And Elisa as well. Elisa started doing it too. And, you start building that up. This whole business is credibility, right? If you got like one connection, you're sending out a script, a recruiting script to somebody, they're just going to kind of sell credibility. Like, who is this person? Just some random person with one follower. It's not going to, there's not a lot of credibility. I get a lot of feedback from people that join our team. Like, I reached out to you because I see what you're doing. Obviously attraction is one thing and promotion is another, right? So people see the attraction, the lifestyle, they start reaching out. I got some of my best agents, I didn't even send a script to. They just reached out to me because I see what you're doing on LinkedIn. What you're doing, Paul, with this morning call is
Yeah.
great. I mean, you can start building that up and scaling it, and it's great. And it, looks really
Yeah.
nice. And you're dressing up nice. I love the outfit, by the way. It's really nice. It looks good, man.
This was just for you, man.
Brick
Yeah.
background, love it. So, but
Well, so listen, man, people have been in this industry a lot. They've been told very similar formulas on how to build an agency, right? What would you say some of the key factors are when you're brand new, right? Like, I think someone in your position right now, it might be a little bit easier to build from because you
yeah.
have that attraction, right? But when you were brand new, how did you start, right? How did you get the attraction? How did you pull agents at that time?
Yeah, so like I said, credibility, right? Proof's in the pudding, right? So, when I would talk to someone, I remember there was a Primerica guy came over to the house. I kind of showed him what I was making. I was brand new in the business. My best week, it was doing a lot of in-homes, a lot of grinding it out. But I wrote 30 grand in a week, and I was just like showing my deposits. When people see that, people can say anything they want. Hey, I'm doing X amount, this is how much I'm making. But when you show them and they see it, it's different. And then they start like saying, wait a minute. The guy was from Primerica, wasn't really doing well with them. And I'm showing him, in 1 week,
Yeah.
what you can make, what's, the average makes in a year, which is crazy. It's a great opportunity, and I was still learning. It's a constant learning curve. You got to get uncomfortable, right? right away. Super uncomfortable, right? Just don't just stick to one carrier. You got to just do what's right for the client. I ran this business like, over a year without using insurance toolkits. Just imagine that, right? Just crazy.
Yeah,
Like,
back then they were telling us just write everything through America. If it doesn't work, then switch.
I
Yeah,
woke up with $14,000 in chargebacks one
yeah,
day.
yeah. That was a
Yeah, I
terrible
was like,
idea. Yeah,
that scared the crap out of me. So the
yeah,
first thing I thought of, I'm not writing America
yeah,
for this situation anymore. I started like writing America when it made sense, and then doing
yeah.
maybe a different product here and there. Just learning about more about the other carriers. And that helped.
So
So
for those of you guys that don't know, that they pushed us to write America back then because of the bonus money that you would get from writing just America. And America, if you guys don't know, Sean Mike, when he left Symmetry, that was the first and only company that would work with him as he was building it, right? So they pushed a lot of America business, which was kind of crazy. But at that time when Daniel and I started, we did have other carriers, but there wasn't a lot of people teaching you how to use toolkits or things of that nature so you could do what was best for the client. It was just America, 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 right? Pivot. Call me if it doesn't work with America, and then I'll tell you which company to pivot to is what we were taught. So yeah,
yeah,
big difference nowadays. So um, just foundationally speaking, right? One thing I noticed for you, Daniel, is that you got to Hall of Fame, and Hall of Fame helped propel you in your recruiting. Why was Hall of Fame so important for you to hit?
yeah. It's just it's all credibility, right? Obviously, Lisa helped out tremendously with that. She would
Mhm.
book my appointments, right?
Yeah,
It would be easy for me to close them, and then she figured out, hey, let's do some yearly reviews, and then we did that, and we got across the finish line. So it was good. First full year, we sold 429 altogether. Obviously, they didn't count any of my was it a company Aflac volume at the time. It was like a new
yeah,
carrier. They weren't counting it, but I wrote a lot of volume first full year. I did most of it on the CRM when we got on the CRM. I would have never made Hall of Fame if it wasn't for Samir, and
mhm,
Samir CRM. And obviously Teresa's the one that told me about the CRM that Samir did. It's like,
yeah,
Teresa, I had this one week. I'm like, what the hell are you doing? She's like, yeah, just selling over the phone. I'm like, how? And she's like, the CRM. I'm like, check it out. And I
yeah,
remember the first day, Lisa booked me 12 appointments. I sold 6, and it was like $10,000 in a day. And her dad was here, from Italy, and he's like, how was today? And in Italian, how was today? Huh? I said, I did 10,000 today. He's like, what? Life insurance? What do you mean life insurance? Life insurance? People buy that? What? Like, he was confused, and I was like, this is good, because he freaked out when we quit our jobs to go all in, like everybody did. Maybe my dad
yeah.
was like really backing us when we quit our jobs, but just to like throw that in his face made me feel really good.
Yeah, for sure, man.
Yeah.
So you hit Hall of Fame, the CRM. I noticed that you guys on LinkedIn really capitalize on the CRM. And one thing I think people don't understand, right? We're in sales, but we're also selling people on why it's important to be on our team. What's some of the things that you guys use that anybody here, even ones that are not selling at a high level, they're not hitting 400,000 this year. What's some things that they can use tips to help them recruit their team?
Yeah, just you got to know your competition, right? Number one. So you look at AIL, right? Captive agency, super expensive whole life they sell, right?
Mhm.
Like that's when I started going after when I had a client that had an AO policy, right? He was paying like 283 a month for like very little coverage, and I got him double the coverage for half the price. I mean, it was just crazy. And I was like, wait a minute, they got good training over there, but they don't have a good product, and the comps
Mhm.
are low. So you just kind of like, well, this is why we're better, because we can help out clients better than them, right?
Yeah,
They, I mean, I came from a captive company on the PNC side, so it was
right.
like all that mattered was saving the client money, right? And I was at something. If they were a reject, we couldn't help them. That was the end of the phone call, right? Being
Yeah,
able to have access to 20 plus carriers, being able to shop for the client, I think is great. And then this whole culture community that we have over here is wonderful. If someone has a question, it gets answered very quickly. You know,
mm,
you can hear live presentations going on. You can present live. People can draw on the screen and walk you through your first couple of sales, right?
right, right.
Just it's just a great lifestyle. I mean, the life work balance.
So
Think of it this way: if you get someone on board and they make the same amount of money or half the money they're used to, they're still not going to care because the life work balance it's priceless, right? So that's the beauty of the business, right? It's
yeah.
a ton of value in this business, So
Um, Now different teams kind of focus on different formulas. You guys have kind of focused on recruiting people that are agents already. Why was that important for you guys?
It has to do with efficiency, like they're already licensed, we can contract them. Um, it is like that, you have one less barrier, right, in place. So I focus
Mhm.
on, people that are already licensed, number one. Number two, people that have capital, you know. So our agency focuses more on, helping people with just to be more profitable, if you will, being able
Mhm.
to get them a high comp. So that way when they sell policies, they're getting more commission, right? I talk to people from companies where they get free leads, but then their commission levels are 50% or 40%, and I bring
American
them on
income.
board.
Yeah.
I focus on people that have some capital, that there's people in our team, they're millionaires already. We have a couple
Mhm.
people that are millionaires, and they want to do this to. They already did what they need to do. They're doing this now to build another business, So
Right.
so
Okay, cool.
more high quality type people, more network people that reach out sometimes. And obviously, I get people that don't have a lot of capital, and there's ways to get them to be profitable, right? But if
Right.
they're like, hey, I want to go, I want free leads, you know, it doesn't really work too well with us. It's just a
Different
di-
system than what you guys are running.
different system. It's just
Yeah.
different. But if you have people on lead programs, that can be very profitable too. It's just we just have a different way of doing it. And then I know on your side over here, it's just a different way to do it. Both
Yeah.
very scalable, just different vision. Altogether.
Lem- So let me ask this, right? If you could start all over from the beginning when it came to building your agency, what are three things you would have done differently from day one?
Yeah. So obviously we didn't have the CRM back then. So obviously maybe uh, start with telesales and not try to scale the business doing only in-home appointments. That's a tough thing to do. So that was
Yeah.
my biggest mistake right there. Make sure you have the right leads. Again, we burned through a lot of money on leads that were crazy. It's like you get on a lead source and you're trapped in that lead source until someone picks up your area, right? Immediately, so we
Right.
went through a lot of capital. I remember we'd wake up, it'd be like 7 grand charged on our card, and be like, now I got to run and work all these leads, and that was like stressful. I think we went
Uh,
overboard when we first started. When we should have kind of maybe focused. Maybe we should have focused on mortgage protection right off the bat instead of waiting 4 months to get onto the mortgage protection side.
right. Okay. And one more thing you would have done differently.
Um, Maybe just started recruiting quicker, because I didn't really start recruiting until probably January of 22. We had like, a couple agents here and there. And I was more focused on production early on. Maybe I should have focused, like Isaiah Tatamy says, he told me, he's a great mentor, sell 30,000 a month and then grow the agency. You don't want to do
Yeah.
100,000. People that do 100,000 a month in volume, a lot of them don't have a team, or they have people that were given to them, whatever. But
Right. Right.
that's a tough way to, because you're focusing, you're working every day. How can you possibly manage a team and mentor people when you're working 24/7? You know,
Yeah.
it's better to have a team, because when you have a team of agencies, you have overrides coming in, and then you can you have more money for resources, right? You can help people build. I think right now what we got going on is it's great. I mean, just being able, when I bring someone on, I can help them build, right?
Yeah.
That's what I love. I want them to be profitable. It's a give and take business, right? It's not take or a give. It's got to be give and take, right?
Yeah. It's funny that you mentioned Isaiah, right? I had an moment with Isaiah. I was watching all the people going up to get their red jackets. And for those of you who don't know, that's Hall of Fame, right? But Isaiah had a green jacket. And I was like, what's this? Right. And it was basically that his team was so large and had written so much production that, he focused on agency building. And because he hit the numbers he needed to hit, he had the green jacket. And I thought to myself, I'm looking at the guys with the red jackets and the guys with the green jackets. The green jacket guys were the ones with a lot of money. Not that, you know, even if you're $1 million producer, that it's not a lot of money, but the green jacket guys are the ones with the big money, right? Like it's a game changer. You have a lot of people that have red jackets on your team because you focused on building an agency and teaching people how to sell. Let's kind of dive into a little bit more. What would you say, like you said, basic formula, right? Start recruiting now, right? Max out your LinkedIn and your social media platforms. Is there like a particular formula that you would use as far as besides, okay, when I think you mentioned in the beginning, you said, hey, look at my bank account, right? So people know you're not BSing them. Yeah, this is what I'm making. And especially people with lower comps from other companies, it's going to make a lot more sense. You're at a 50, we're both writing the same amount, let's say 30,000 this month, but I'm getting paid 30, you're getting paid 15, right? That's kind of a no-brainer for those kinds of guys too. But let's say you're brand new in the business, you don't know a whole lot and you're unsure because you haven't quite figured it out. Should you still recruit or should you wait till you figure it out?
It's a good question. You got to rely on the platform at that point in time. If you don't, know too much about, the selling or all the carriers, you can just lean on the platform, right? The VIP platform, and just bring people on, get them plugged in. The people that plug in do the best on our team. They just, if you're absent, you're not on Zoom, you're not following the
Going live.
process, you're not going live,
Not going to
that's on you.
survive.
Yeah. And, if it doesn't work out, that's on you. Some people need to look in the mirror and they have to accept responsibility for themselves. I don't have a team, that's on you. Like I'm helping people build in, agencies, right? Obviously we have kids, so we're obviously up at 6 a.m. every day, 6 a.m. And obviously we're on the phone with Samir sometimes till 2-3 o'clock in the morning. So we're just, we don't sleep a lot. Maybe we should sleep a little bit more, but it's been 6 a.m. to midnight, Monday through Friday for years. It's been 2 years and 8 months in the business, and it's really compounding and paying dividends now. I mean, it's really like everything Isaiah told me that was going to happen happened. He didn't tell me one line. I mean, he's like, first year, you always want to have a roadmap for a new agent when you bring them on board. First year, right? What do you expect them to make, right? And a lot of times they're like, hey, like the business side people say, hey, I don't expect to profit anything the first 2 years, right? And I'm like, no, first year you should at least try to get to 100,000 profit, right? That should be at least minimum, right? Year 2, maybe 300 profit, right? And then year 3, and just have a roadmap for them, right? First year, produce, right? And maybe recruit here and there, but kind of figure out what you're doing. You want to get to month 10, right? Why do you want to get to month 10? You want to get to month 10 because you're getting your other half of commission, your month 10, 11, 12, and then 13 is your renewal, right? So once you get to month 10, it's going to be a little bit easier because now you got your other parts of your commission coming in maybe every few days, right?
Right.
So get there, right? Get 100 appointments under your belt, right? Don't judge the business right away. If you have a bad couple months, don't give up, right? Like you have to have this mentality. My mentality was, and Lisa's mentality was, we almost quit in August of 22. We got to the point where we're like, it's like beating a dead horse. I'm driving all over Indiana, knocking on doors, and people are no-showing me. It's getting rough out there. I'm getting stressed out because the leads are pouring in, and it's like maybe it was the summertime still, so maybe that's why. But it's got to be a better way. And then obviously Samir, CRM. I took that CRM and the automations. I ran with it. I was like the loudest person on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, talking about you suckers are still dialing the phones, like. And people are like, well, you don't dial anymore. And then boom, and it compounds. Like get that one person on that, people might know 5 people from the company work that. Now they're coming on. It compounds, right?
Yeah.
It's,
100%.
You just gotta sell what you have, the resources that you have, right? The person with the most resources wins, right? They win. If you have no resources, I mean, what you gotta like separate yourself from the competition. Tell people why you're better, right? There's so many things you can say about HIPAA, why you're better. You got high quality agents. You have, people that can learn a lot from a lot of the agents on here. You got the automations, you got the leads, just got a good culture there, good community, it's great, and you guys got to sell that. You can't just like say, oh, I can give you this comp, I can give you that comp. That's a lazy way. I knew a guy that was doing like 750, 800,000 in volume. He went back to AO. I said, why'd you go back to AO? He's like, well, I wasn't making any money. I had no spread. Now, whose fault was that? That was his fault for hiring people in a super high comp. You cannot do that. It's a lazy way to recruit because what does that do? You don't provide that person with any resources. They have a high comp and they're not making any money because you got no spread. So you have to have a spread in place,
So kind of tap in more about what you mean by spread. Why is that important?
For profitability. Yeah, you got to be profitability, right? So if I, basically, everybody knows we have a 20-point spread on the whole agency, right?
Mm-hmm.
When I bring people on, if I say I bring someone in at 120, I'm putting people under them at 105. The 105s, maybe they're bringing people in at 95, right? If I, like the average commission on the life side is like 60%. Someone did the stats on that. The average commission on the life side is 60%. So you can bring someone in at 65%, they're above average, right?
Yeah. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
And
you have
then
to have that spread in place because it's a give and take, right? If I bring someone in at X amount, I'm not just going to leave them hanging. No, I'm going to provide a lot of resources for that person. I'm going to help them build too, right?
yeah. And you
So
need the spread to do it.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I'm proud to say that Alex on my team, he's going to do $500,000 this year in his bank account. He's been with us
Yeah.
a little over a year. He's
Yeah.
grown. He's growing fat. He's growing faster than what we were growing at after his first year. And I'm
Yeah.
happy to say that. I want to help him out and grow
Yeah.
him. And he's got agents from AO coming on board, and they're freaking crushing it. It's like we got a guy on the way back from Indy 500. We're in the freaking parking lot for over an hour. He's like, "Oh, I'm gonna call my appointment." I'm like, "You got an appointment?" He's in the back seat. It's just crazy. And he's like closing the deal. He closed the deal over
Yeah.
the phone.
I saw that on you guys filmed it. That was pretty good, bro.
Good way to maximize your time, right? I mean,
Right.
it's
You
just
ain't doing
beautiful.
nothing else.
Yeah, it's like crazy.
So Nathan asked, if you remember, how did you recruit your first person starting in this industry?
Show them my bank accounts, my bank statements.
Yeah.
First guy I recruited was a Primerica agent, and you know how hard it is to recruit them because they drink a lot.
Kool-Aid,
they
yeah.
drink gallons of Kool-Aid, man.
Bro,
So
I don't understand it either. Like you start at a 25%.
25%, right? So the
Pump
people that
until
make
you
good money.
recruit 2 people, then you can get to 50. In the meantime, you're handing over everybody you know to the person above you so they can call that as a lead and sell them. Yeah, I don't know how they get sucked into that Kool-Aid. They do a really good job at their Kool-Aid. They put extra sugar in there.
Oh my God, you're not kidding. So I know how they do a good job. They do a very effective job talking bad about whole life and IULs and annuities and all that stuff. They call it trash value policies, but it's a little deceptive because they don't really understand how whole life and fin banking works or IULs work. They kind of point out badly structured policies and they say, see, like that's what they do. And then they start talking bad, just get a term policy, invest the rest. That's their motto. But we live in America, dude. That might work in Singapore where everything's, people got money over there, crazy money. They're all high net worth people. It's not going to work over here, So we're in America, in this inflation, that shit doesn't fly. Especially who are you going to buy term invest the rest for a 500-pound person? That person's got to get something in place, and you can't get a term policy with that. It doesn't make sense. So they do a good job at like talking bad about all the other policies, and people drink the Kool-Aid, and and obviously you can be done. You can get a Primerica person over successfully, and if you do, they usually do really well. Just like an AO person does really well. That's just it's crazy, man. You're right about that. It's tough.
Yeah. Hey, Samir wanted us to bring up a new carrier that we've brought on, and Daniel, I think you negotiated that.
Yep.
And that would be Kansas City Life. Can you kind of speak on that a little bit?
Yeah. So Kansas City Life, they have the best return of premium policy on the market. All right. So America's, they have the CBO 100. So America doesn't let you cash out the policy early, borrow from it. They don't let you do anything like that. So it's like you have to outlive the policy to get the money back with America. With Kansas City Life, if you look in toolkits, their 20-year is phenomenal. It's like 40% cheaper than everybody else. And they do the 100%.
And it's 100% return?
Yep, 100% return of premium. They also include critical, chronic, terminal illness, plus unemployment waiver premium. So if they lose their job, they'll waive the premiums for 6 months. And then if they, have residential damage on their house, like a tornado came by and hit it, they'll waive the premiums too in that situation. So if they have significant damage to their house, and then they let you actually borrow from the return of premium. Starts building cash value year 4. And then, year 10, if they want to like borrow from it or cash it out early, they can. So it provides that flexibility, which I love. I mean, it's a really good product. It's probably our number 1 carrier right now on our side. And then you got Illinois Mutual too. But Kansas City Life, we shot the lights out. We did a little contest. And, one of my brand new agents, he wrote 12 apps in a month, and it's like, geez. And literally you can, you got a 20-year, 25, and a 30-year return of premium. And
how do they stack up against Mutual and America as far as price?
Blow them out of the water. Yeah, you can do regular term with them too. Sometimes it comes into play where you do a regular term with them, but it just blows them out of the water, And
So cheaper, more flexibility, and then it also has the 100% return of premium for years other than 30 years.
Yeah, 30, 25, and 20. Yep. So what we
Yeah.
do is we do like the 20-year payoff, like, do it for 20 years and then pay your house off 10 years early, potentially.
Mhm,
25-year, pay your house off early, 5 years
mhm.
early. And if they do a 30-year, I like to call it accelerated, refi payoff. Basically if they refinance their loan 5 years later, they can actually pay their house off on time and not do 35, 40 years on a mortgage. So it kind of protects their time. So a lot of
Yeah, it
clients
makes
do that.
sense.
Yeah.
That's so wait, let me get that straight. So you're telling them pay it off early by doing a shorter term and taking the money that you paid into it back and then paying your house off early.
Yeah. So what
Yeah.
if the golden question on is, you ask the client, are you paying extra on your mortgage currently? Yeah, I pay like $200 extra. Okay, so this would make a lot more sense to take that $200 and put into a return of premium. You get all your money back, tax free type of deal. And they're like, well, I could just pay 200 extra a month, but I'm like, you're not protected though. You have no coverage. And they're like, oh,
Yeah.
I see where you're coming at. Yeah, let's do that. And it's just boom. You know,
So
just
they're
give.
getting the protection and they're getting the money back at the end of the year to pay off the mortgage early.
Yeah, yeah, it's a great
Yeah,
way.
that's an
Wonderful way
awesome
to take
idea.
risk.
And then Daniel, where do you see yourself and your agency um, by the end of this year and into next year?
So we'll probably the agency will do 550,000 probably the end of this month. So we're growing like crazy. I mean, there's just people, like, I'm bringing people on, they're bringing people on, and it's just at a bigger rate. We have a lot of P&C agencies that we partnered with where, they're kind of, we call them silent partners, a lot of them, because they just want to contract their agents and they might do a LOA type model. And then
Hmm.
they do their own thing. I got a guy in Chicago. He does annuities. He's like, hey, I just want some, life contracts for mortgage protection, and he's been right in business. And that's the way to do it. It's just kind of like you can leverage your carriers, right? Because
Hmm.
most of these, like, there's a lot of small IMOs, like unheard of names that, their commission levels are very low. They're used to like fully underwritten stuff. And you got to really
Yeah.
like talk about simplify issuance and decision, because it's still a relatively new concept. A lot of people don't know about it, because there's a lot of companies, everything's fully underwritten, and when I talk to people that, they might have some of the same carriers we do, I talk about the other carriers we got. Like, who do you use for a guaranteed issue? Oh, I use AIG. Well, we got Catholic Financial, we got Gerber. Like, who do you use for, smoker? Well, we use American. Well, we got Illinois Mutual. They don't underwrite for smokers.
Yeah.
So you got to leverage that.
Do all FEX whole life products inherently come with accidental coverage, or is it going to be a small additional charge?
Great question. So, America comes with accidental built in. And most companies, it's an additional cost. And it depends on the age too, the age of the client. So sometimes, like, accidental is not included because of the age, they're too old. So it depends on the carrier, the client. So it's always a good idea to kind of go over every carrier, what they offer, and just kind of memorize all that stuff. So.
And just to kind of tap into that, the life insurance companies love selling term because it pays out less than 2% of the time. They make a bulk of their money off of that particular product. And so that's why people have to be so healthy in order to get it, right? They get you with here's a ton of coverage for a much smaller price than whole life, which, we all know is guaranteed to pay, just like you're guaranteed to pass away, right? So with the guaranteed coverage, they know, okay, at some point you're going to pass and at some point we're going to have to pay. And with term, their algorithm can dictate, can kind of narrow it down within a very, very fine-toothed comb of, likely of you passing away of natural causes. Of course, like accidents and stuff, they can't really account for it. They can a little bit based off of, any DUIs or reckless driving and tickets and stuff like that. That's why they ask those certain questions. Does that answer your question, Sydney? Perfect. All right. Man, thanks, man. Daniel, I really appreciate that you came on. I was just thinking, when we were talking a little bit earlier about, us competing against each other last year. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, dude. Me and Paul used to go back. Like, I would have, like, I remember I had like 26,000 a week. It was like 11:59 at night, and all of a sudden he posted sale. He was at 30. I was like, you motherfucker. But that's healthy. Competition is good.
What you didn't know, man, is that, fuck, dude, I called everybody and their mother to get a sale. Like, I worked from, I think it was like 8 a.m. till midnight on the West Coast time, just to get that one. I had to win. It was that, but it was funny because I know you felt the same way, and we kept trading back and forth week to week, and that was a lot of fun, man.
Yeah, it was a
Yeah.
lot of fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's good. It's competition's always good, you know.
It
It's
does. It
only,
brings out the best in everybody.
yeah, you can never get mad like if someone's doing really well and they're crushing it, and you know, you just let it motivate you to
Yeah.
get
At the
ask
at
questions,
the
you know.
at the end of the day, everybody's cashing out more than 20 grand in a week. So
Oh
how
yeah,
could you be mad at that, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, it was a lot
Yeah.
of fun. A lot of fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, produce while you're growing the agency. Don't just sit there and just be a recruiter. You actually, you know, you produce while you're recruiting is the, you know, the best way to do the business, you know, best way to scale it, show credibility, do your trainings, you know, don't get off track, you know, be consistent. You know, that's what you got to do. Just
Discipline and consistency, I think, is the key.
got to be patient, man. I mean, the
Yeah.
patience pays dividends, man. You know, patience is a virtue. You got to be patient. You can't just like want to go to 0 to 100,000 in a week or a month or a couple of
Yeah.
months. So to get to 100,000 a month in team volume, it takes a while. I mean, it took us like 4 months, 5 months in that range, and then it took forever to get to 200,000, and then to get to three, forget it. It's like, oh my god, it's dragging on. But then they go
Yeah.
to 3 to 4, and then 4 to 5. It's quicker because
Compounding. Yeah. It gets
90
quicker.
days, just give it 90 days for something to change with the growth. You know, you can't just expect it to happen overnight, right? Just because
It-
you bring on some big dog, it doesn't mean it's going to work out, you know? So,
That's true.
you know, so
Yeah.
just,
Hey,
just wake up early and just get the work. Don't be lazy, you know, don't be a whiner. Just get the work.
what are some good tips for managing your family life and growing your business?
Yeah, you know, me and Elisa have a date night once a week. You know, every Friday night we go out date night. You know, and I think that's important. Weekends non-negotiable. I hang out with the kiddos. You know, to make sure they're happy. You know, take a trip in July. I mean, if you're in this business, if you want to take time off, July's a good month to do that because it is slower. And if you want to, you can have a big month in July. You just have to buy more leads. You got to have a lot more activity because you know most people are on vacation in July. You know.
A good time too is around Christmas and New Year's. Good time to take some well-deserved time too.
Those last 4 months of the year, you know, like September through December, busy months. I mean, busy,
Yeah.
busy. I think my biggest month ever was like I did like 64,000, you know,
Mhm.
and that was in December. You know, it was like a scramble to get the whole thing. You know, it's
Yeah.
like,
I noticed it slows down around, the week of Christmas and the week of New Year's.
yeah,
You definitely you have to buy more leads if you want to, get more
yeah.
active,
Steve
just like you said
Giordano
with
told,
July.
told us that buy more leads, you know, in that month. You know, you got to double up leads to be profitable. That's what you do. You know,
Yep.
so. But
Well,
yeah,
hey
man,
man,
this has been good, man. You know, keep it up.
thanks. Appreciate you really for coming on. Thanks a lot, man. It's good to go back down memory lane for the competing too, man. And I wish you guys nothing but the best over there.
You too, man.
And thanks for coming on and sharing with everybody your guys' secrets, man. I appreciate it.
You too, and happy Memorial Day, everybody. Have a good day.